Welcome everybody to I, the Serpent Tarot, for another pick a card reading. So today's pick a card reading was inspired actually by a private reading that somebody asked me to do. Every once in a while people come to me with some really interesting sort of questions that I really enjoy because it kind of triggers my creativity and my way to kind of structure something and bring out an answer. And this, for the person concerned, was a fairly long-term thing. We're looking at a long-term evolution over a number of years. But I thought, I could actually do a version of this as a kind of origin story to where you are now. So a couple of rounds of looking at this and using the structure that I developed for a pick a card. It's very spiritual. It was meant to be a very spiritual reading. So this is really about your life path, your spirit path, and where you are now relative to your origin story, where you came in, which is not exactly the question I was answering for the person in the private reading, but the structure would work really well for this, and I thought that would work well for a pick a card. So this isn't going to be very tarot heavy. I use the tarot a little bit in it, but not a lot. It's mainly oracle cards. So we're mainly looking at various aspects of your life path or spirit path through the lens of different oracle cards that give us a sort of a broad understanding. And as I say, we're going to go through the same spread twice. And the first one is the origin story. So this is what you came in with. So it's probably stuff that you brought in from past lives, if you believe in past lives, what you kind of came in with an energy or an ambition to do. Also maybe sometimes a little bit about the environment you came into, any challenges that you had or you had to deal with. And then once we've gone through all of that and looked at that spiritually, we'll then look at where you are now. Now, it's relative to that. So it could be, that it shows great alignment and you're really progressing on something you came in to do. It could show a very big change, but maybe that's important if in fact what you came in with was something you needed to let go of. So we'll just see what we get. And hopefully that will be something enjoyable and interesting for you. So to choose the pile, and of course you can go to more than one reading. You always can do that. But I kind of feel with this that choosing one is probably a little bit more important because we are talking about origin and then where you're going. But maybe if you wanted to choose one for the origin, look at that one's development, and then if you felt drawn to another, focus particularly on the where are you now aspect of it in the other one and sort of see whether that synthesizes. But you do you, whatever works for you. But what we've got here, the beginning of the reading has a spread that starts with, amongst some other cards, 4 cards from the personal predictions deck, to give a sense of almost the fortune energy that came in, the kind of dynamics are operating. And then there were some other kind of like spiritual and dream imagery and things like that to give us a little bit more information. So this will be one of the cards in the origin story. So that may help you choose, but it's only going to be one of 4. So it's not the be all and end all, but hopefully it helps you choose. So for pile number 1, we have beautify, glow up. For pile number 2, we have discontent and loss. And for pile number 3, we have vitality boost. Now, remembering, you don't need to go, I don't want to go there because that doesn't look happy, because you might be bringing in stuff from a past life that you're going to clear in this life. So we wait and see what we get. But you go intuitively, always go to pile 3. If you always go to pile 3, do whatever you want when you know what reading or readings you want to go to. I've got the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1. So as I say, this is the first of 4. So we're going to shuffle the personal predictions deck, and we're going to draw out 4 more cards. So this is to give a bit of a sense of the type of fortune energy that you came in with, your origin story. Then I'm going to lay out just a few other cards to talk about the other sort of spiritual aspects of that before we build upon it. So kind of actually more the personal. This is more the personal, and then we're going to move into the spiritual and the celestial, but it'll make sense as I do it. So to go along with beautify, glow up, we have renewed passion, lack of motivation, and unexpected expense. Okay. Now, before I look into that in any detail, I'm just going to build out part of this. So firstly, I'm going to use a card from the illuminated soul, path of the illuminated soul, for the soul energy in your origin story. Perfect storm. Okay. It's interesting. We'll look at dream imagery. So this is what was happening in the liminal. So this is like your early years. This is what you came in with and your early years, and probably all the way up to kind of like either kind of early teens or even like later teens. It's kind of the developmental stage. Think of this as that. So we have shadow work, rejected or repressed aspects of self, spiritual guidance. Okay, that could connect to this potentially. And flying. Okay. And last but not least, at this stage of it, we're just going to put out 2 cards from the Timeless Tales deck, which is fairy stories and mythical things, for kind of almost a psychological programming energy that was operating for you. Beauty and the Beast. Okay, all right. And navigation. All right, so that's sort of like just guidance, navigation. It's not a story. So that's really interesting, Beauty and the Beast coming in here. I think that you were very beautiful or very attractive when you were young, probably conventionally beautiful for your culture. But if not, you brought in a sense of like beauty that went beyond like mere physicality. And you came in to work out the beauty of the soul, the beauty of the self, the beauty of life. You came in with a renewed passion, so that suggests to me that you probably came from a rather difficult past life. So this was to kind of come back and re-believe in things. Or it's possible that you came into a difficult situation because we had the perfect storm there, particularly when we have lack of motivation and unexpected expense. So in your early years, in what you came in with, I think that you did carry something, some past regret. So it either was from a past life or there might have been something maybe in your early years around your family where there was a material aim that wasn't met, a debt that wasn't met or something like that, or that there was a lot more of a cost to what you wanted to do and who you wanted to be than you expected. And as a result, I think you might have vacillated a bit between not having motivation, not thinking there was much point, and then thinking, no, there is. So you may have come into a family actually where there was something about dealing with money or some sort of addictive behaviours, because there's shadow work to deal with here. And again, it's kind of like what I'm seeing in your origin story is a bit of a push-pull energy. Sometimes you're flying, you're feeling successful, you're feeling able to do everything, the renewed passion, the glowing up, all of that kind of thing, feeling empowered. But at other times, something draws down, there's a cost to this in some way that draws you down into something that's shadowier. And I think you're always looking for, as you're growing up, the kind of the navigation that takes you to like true love and to the true sense of beauty and self and so forth. The fact that we've got Beauty and the Beast there, I think I just feel that either in early loves or in your family or something like that, there's some sort of dissonance that you were dealing with. I think that your origin story had a lot of potential and a lot of beauty and a lot of, like you came in with a lot of reason for success and to do well, but it was not an easy environment to come into. I think it might have been economically for many of you. Like whether it was literally that you came into sort of like very sort of difficult economic circumstances, like a poorer culture or something, or whether it was that there was an excess of spending and debt. I just feel that there's something like that going on. And sorry, I just had to sip some tea. I've been doing a lot of readings today, so my voice is a bit hoarse. So there's something in that for you. And there's shadow work as a result of it. So I feel as though it's also, I think, some of you may have been in a home where appearances were more important than actuality, like where maybe more was spent than should have been to appear to be, the keeping up with the Joneses sort of idea, something like that. And again, when you wanted to really do something, you vacillated between the passion of doing it and then not being motivated because there was something shadowy, something not quite right. And I think it's put in you a sense that because you came in with such potential, such beauty, such energy, such vitality, and such a potential to succeed, I think you almost took some of that on. Because in Beauty and the Beast, the beauty takes on the healing of the beast. And like that's a navigation energy. So a navigation energy in a storm. So I think it's an interesting origin energy for you sort of psychologically and just in like the crucible of your childhood and maybe early teens up until kind of early adulthood. I think you vacillated a lot between times of success and glowing and being passionate about what you did, and then other times just feeling like, what's the point? And I just feel it's because of other energies that were around you. So let's have a look at what was alchemizing in that period of time for you. Because it is a transformative and a growth period when we are looking at our origin story. Necessity, yeah. There's something here. There's a financial thing. I think you'll know if you've come to the right reading, because I think there's some sort of financial issue. And like, I feel like sometimes there was the money or the possibility to do things, and other times there wasn't. I just feel like there's some sort of real issue associated with that for you. So learning what the true necessities were to guide you towards success in a much more turbulent and shadowy, a lot of things that weren't said, I think, in your home life, like truths that weren't able to be spoken. And knowledge, yeah, you kind of did come in with a knowing. This taught you a lot. Like, the good thing about this is it taught you a lot. You didn't, have you realize a lot about psychology and about what drives people and about what motivates them. People mightn't have wanted to sort of tell the truth in your family or the people that you're around, but you knew, and you understood what was driving that and what created a storm, but how you could also rise above the storm. So in its own way, it was a good crucible to learn and grow from. So let's have a look and see what kind of celestial energy was happening with you. What did you come in with, or what was watching over you? So firstly, we're just going to look at some energy from the Kabbalah and astrology, that kind of energy to try and describe what you came in with this great beauty, pile one. So energy of Aquarius. So this is all about the future. So you are a creature of the future. So I think that you came in with this vision and this passion for the future, with what could be done. And I think that there was actually a real learning curve for you about the appearance of opulence and success and its actuality. And I think that you had to kind of keep future focused, even when sometimes there was a lack of motivation. But you might have sent your energy out to the greater collective rather than the family that you were in or the people that you were closest to, because Aquarius can sometimes become very detached, and I think you might have had to do that. It says to serve humanity is my chief aim. So you go, okay, like, I've got to have a bigger sort of palette to paint my vision on, so to speak. And we have a Hebrew power letter to Zaddy, Fishhook, 28th path working of Aquarius. Again, you have very Aquarian energy here, very future oriented. You came in for the future. You didn't come in for the present, so to speak. This connected Hesod, which is the connection to the celestial realms, with victory. Like, you are meant to succeed. You came in with the imprint to succeed, and the tarot card is the star. So you were able to stay optimistic when it was necessary. There's a quote here: we are more often frightened than hurt. We suffer more in imagination than reality. And I think there's something in this too. I think that you saw what was real and what wasn't real. Like, I think you almost chose the family and the environment you came into to almost have to pit yourself against it and create a better future. So, that's your oversoul. And this was like when you were a young, child and then adolescent, and when that wouldn't have been as clear to you. And so that's why you kind of pulled backwards and forwards, and it felt like a storm a lot of the time. But you really were pushing yourself into the future because the present was not going to be motivating. Your passion had to be for the future. So let's see what archangel energy was around you at your origin. Oh, wow, Metatron. So yes, you came in to write your own future, like very future oriented. You came in to do that and to record what you saw. Like, this is another thing. Like, if there is shadowy energy, storms, people living outside their means, whatever it was, I think you were meant to see that so that you could understand the narrative of things. I think you chose a difficult sort of childhood, difficult early years, so that you kind of got a head start on understanding the world. And Sophia, yeah, because of wisdom. You had the wisdom to do that. And also understanding what in the world is not what it appears. because Sophia in Gnostic beliefs was the mother of the demiurge, so created the material world, which is, like is difficult and hard and a stormy place and often quite controlling. And so she was reaching out to get that wisdom in there. I think you brought inner wisdom and an understanding. I think you were older than your years from when you were very young, and you could tell a story. I'm not sure that the environment you were in was the place where they listened to the story, but I think by moving outside to the greater collective, you were able to, or you were being primed to be able to have that impact on others. Okay, so let's also have a look at a sigil energy that was protecting your origin story. Archangel Zavkiel, okay, the Archangel of Binah, that also fits with Sophia, like the sort of like the very strong feminine goddess sort of energies and creator energies. This says important decisions, clarity of communication. Yeah, your origin story was meant to be the dissonance between reality and dreams, and you were meant to see it and go through the storm so that you actually could not only succeed yourself but show other people how and how to deal with shadow work. You have to be exposed to it, I think, to be able to understand it, even though it's difficult at the time. So we are going to use tarot. At this point, we're just going to get 4 cards to bring this particular origin story together. Then we're going to lay out very similarly again for where you are now. So what is the kind of like integrated energy of this origin story you came in with? 8 of Swords, yeah. You were in a trapped mental environment. 3 of Cups, where, celebration might not have been what it seemed to be, where it was hard to find your direction, and you were meant to see the burdens that were created by that. You know what it feels like? It feels like you were with people, as I say, who live beyond their means. And like they're all about the joy, but they were sort of trapped in this kind of very material way of looking at things. And you could see, you learnt what that meant. So I think it built in you a very strong understanding of what it means to move towards your life path in a way that's responsible and sustainable and thinks of others as well. So given that, where are you up to now? So let's get 4 more cards from the personal predictions deck. What's the kind of energy around where you are in your life path now, pile 1? Increased intuition. So yeah, you've really been sort of building over this time. Improved situation. So yes, you've definitely improved on what you came, but you've taken on a lot of responsibility. You do have a lot of burdens. But I think you kind of came in with that. I think you did an accelerated learning curve so that you could help others. Social connection. Yeah, because you came here for others. And like the Aquarian energy, very social, very much of the technological age. The one thing to be aware of, though, is to not take on too much. But you have been a sort of self-made person coming out of a situation. But yeah, the only thing is not to take on too many burdens. Having said that, as I say, I think that's part of what you came to do. So I'm not going to like fully say don't do it, but make sure that you continually improve your situation, I think, and you don't just take on burdens and responsibility to take you backwards. So where's your soul path energy at the moment, pile 1? Rise up, the phoenix. Like, rise up, flying. You're definitely meant to succeed. You're also meant to get this like big future focus, seeing things at a distance, seeing things that are like a higher perspective. That's kind of what you're here to do. And like you are doing it. You are heading where you need to head, and you're using your intuition to do it, but you're also materially improving your situation. You don't have to learn something twice, and you are trying to help other people with it. So what is the dream energy that describes where you are on your life path now? Journaling. Again, Metatron. I think some of you may, in fact, be writers, journalists, media people, social influencers, or this could be something that you could do as a way of getting your message out there. But really, your story is a kind of universal story. Like what you've been through, learned, and so forth is very valuable to other people. And nose, instinct, intuition, sensitivity, curious, inquisitive, probing. Okay, so Also with nose, so you've got a good nose for what's going on. You really got good instincts. You really do know, and you can like write about it, you can communicate it, all that kind of thing. The other thing though about the nose, given that there's maybe a kind of social influencer, the burdens or whatever of being out in the world, I think you're meant to do that. You're meant to take a message out into the world. But the one thing to be aware of is the nose sort of holistically is also your identity. So don't let people so far in that they kind of invade your identity. So it's important that people need to understand this is your story and this is what you do. You can help people, but they've got to find their own identity as well. That's really important. Let's see the programming energy that you're processing at the moment. Connection, that's the world tree. So yeah, connecting. You are here to connect with others. You have a bigger span and you are doing it. So I think you're very much on track. And potential, yeah, showing the key. I think you're here to help other people rise up above things and to glow up and beautify and move beyond, the perfect storms of their own sort of like origin stories. I think, you really are the epitome of the phoenix. So I think you're well on path there. It's just don't take on too much as you do it because it could like slow you down. Okay, let's see what you can alchemize at this stage of your life path. Division. Okay. Now that's interesting because I think you probably almost had to divide out from your origin story. You probably had to divide a bit out from the family that you were with. But now I think you're meant to sort of like work out what are the right connections to have. It's also like growth, when a cell divides, growth happens. And satisfaction. Yeah, you're meant to kind of like see what would it mean to achieve what you're trying to achieve. So I don't think you're far off achieving, it doesn't mean, well, your life path's done, so, that's it. Like this sort of thing can only grow and get better. But I think finding, like that kind of good meeting point, but also like what creates growth, I think is part of this. Let's just see. I'm not sure whether I rolled the dice for the other one, but like I'm just going to roll the dice. What are you meant to do with the divide energy now? Share it. Yeah, bring things together. You're meant to bring things together. The two bottles means bring it together rather than divide. So you're meant to find the connections between people. And satisfaction, you're meant to enjoy this. You're doing well. You're doing really well. With the one bottle, you're meant to drink that in. Okay. Let's see then what the Kabbalah has to say, particularly as you've got the world tree there. So right now, Earth. Okay, you're meant to be here on Earth. You're meant to be stabilizing things. You're meant to be building material stuff. Remember, you came in where there was a lack or where the overspending was happening. So that was important to learn because you're meant to make material success, I think, and to ground on Earth what you are trying to do. And Binah. So yeah, Sophia, Binah. Like there's something very nurturing in you. But there's also like, again, like a very grounded energy because Binah is ruled by Saturn. So there's sort of like the kind of like karmic history and what it is that we create over a long period of time. But it is about understanding, to know, to dare, to will, to be silent, to manifest. Like out of the sorrow comes faith, like the polarity, understanding that. You have that sense of empathy that comes from the origin story that you have, and you have a very grounded and practical way of dealing with it. So again, you're doing really well, Pile 1, I have to say. Okay, let's also see archangels for you right now. Acatriel. Okay, that's one of the archangels that's about leadership. So yeah, I think you're meant to be a social influencer in some way or a leader in some way. You're meant to connect, bring things together, have the understanding and have the courage to do it. And Zadkiel, the ultimate alchemist. Again, sort of like purifying the soul. This is for you a soul journey. The soul is purifying and becoming more and more towards gold, so to speak. But at this point, you're also, I think, helping other people alchemize and change. So you are here as a change agent to some degree, but I think it's how you tell your story and how you understand others and how you help them rise up and find out who they are, that is the key way that you do it. Okay, let's get your sigil to protect you at this point of your life path. Pile 1. Blessings. Yeah, things are supposed to sort of really start to come into fruition. Good fortune, divine gifts, and all the best things. And you deserve it, because I think you've got this very grounded, compassionate, honest way of dealing with things. So as I say, you're doing really, really well. Let's see how it all comes together just to close out the reading. So your life path right now, you're really on track, I would say. But anything else that Spirit wants to say to you about it? Nine of Cups. Yeah, you're meant to have your wish. Four of Wands. And you probably couldn't have got it if you hadn't come from this more dysfunctional family. Seven of Swords. It helps you be strategic. Queen of Swords reversed, and it helped you understand unfair criticism and where things were not what they appeared. So I think this is saying, you are doing really, really well. You're to be congratulated. And you had to go through, I'd say, this more difficult childhood, this sort of like unreal and stressful childhood. But I think it was so that you would be an accelerated learning curve. And now you're well on track to helping others, influencing others, and leading people through your story, your honesty, and your practicality. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with discontent, loss. So that tells me that either you brought in something from a past life where you need to sort of like process and let go of something that you lost in a past life, or in your origin story, your sort of like early childhood, early adolescence, sort of anything leading up to becoming an adult, you might have felt this loss, discontent, being a bit lost or something like that. We'll see what else we get. And as I said, that can be just the life path can be rising above these things. It's not necessarily a problem. This is the part of the reading that's retrospective to the past, but it gives a sense of where you came from. So we also have increased intuition. We have protect your energy, and we have avoid or keep to yourself. Okay. So I think you were very psychic from very young. And I think that you were probably highly empathic, actually. I suspect two things occurred in your origin story when you came in. And this may be because you actually used psychic abilities, sort of magic or whatever in past lives as well. I think you saw the truth in your family. And I think you felt or drew in all the discontent, all the loss and so forth of others. I'm getting a sense for some of you, there might have been something with your father. I don't know. I just feel like that's like a soldier. I feel like, not necessarily that your father had to be a soldier, but I feel like you were very much a sponge intuitively for where there was discontent. Maybe your parents weren't happy together. Maybe some ambitions hadn't been met, maybe there was sibling rivalry, there could have been anything, but you picked it all up and you had to learn very quickly how to protect your energy. You very much withdrew into yourself. So I think it was a bit lonely, to be honest. Whether it sort of like eased up when you went to school and so forth and you made friends, or whether this energy, because you're highly empathic, has been a challenge for you right from the beginning, and you had to learn what to do with it, because you really, you saw things for what they really were, but that in itself can be a little bit of a risk sometimes, particularly when dealing with other people and those closest to you. So it feels a little bit sort of like, it feels a bit like, high sensitivity and needing to find a protective energy around yourself. And whether you felt you had to, I just think I can sort of see you being in your room on your own a lot. That's separating out from the family, from friends, from all of that kind of thing. Now, this is just the origin story. So this may well be that you came in with something like this because you were very different and you're bringing in this ability that would only really be able to flower as you got older and you sort of like started to sort of have your own space. Or it could be that you were intuitively hiding this away because, you'd suffered from it in a past life. But there's something like that was going on with you. Some of you might have been neurodiverse too, actually. So not really understood. Really, really psychic with it, but not really sure how to fit in. Let's see the path of the illuminated soul. What was your soul energy sort of doing at this point? Repair the golden seam. Okay. So some of you may have actually suffered some great loss when you were young, whether it was a loss of a parent or a sibling or a friend, or your family, had financial problems or something. Something might have broken apart quite early, and you might have seen it coming, and it might have been a bit scary for you. But your soul all this came from something before. Like, I think some of you, I wouldn't mind betting that some of you actually were a soldier or something, and you came in from a life cut really short in a war or something like that. And so there's this sort of sense of, like, I know what the world is like and I need to protect myself. But this energy, this is where something cracks apart. When it's put back together, it's more beautiful because of the gold energy that brings it together. So I think that this is saying that there's something in whatever the loss was, the discontent, what you felt you had to protect yourself from, that was actually going to mean when you brought it all back together, it was more beautiful. And you needed to bring this energy in to heal it, I think. Or if it happened early in your life, you needed the healing of that was to actually make you more beautiful. So it's a tough lesson, but potentially one that for your soul, your life path and your soul's development was important. Let's have a look at what sort of dream imagery might have been around the liminal space in your origin story, pile 2. Being chased, yeah. I think a lot of you, well, I hope in a way that a lot of you came in with that sort of stuff from a past life. I hope you didn't go through it in your early life, but there is a lot of stress. There was a lot of like fear in these early days that you've either brought in or you were dealing with. And part of it was because you were so aware of what was going on. So you went into avoidance. What else? Lucid dream. Wow. Self-awareness, taking control, manifesting. So in the spiritual level, you were able to actually start to take control. So I think over time, you started to realize your intuition not only gave you the insight to be able to know how to protect yourself, but also how to kind of influence. Like, I think you found a personal magic. And maybe you've always thought, oh, did I imagine that? But I think you actually did. I think you started to be able to impact kind of magically and intuitively your environment. And I think you probably suffered for being able to do that in a past life because you kept this very secret. Let's see the programming energy you were dealing with in your origin story, pile 2. Ah, wow, Pandora's box and the Snow Queen. Yeah, having to be, in a very cold, very unhappy sort of environment in some way. Like if it wasn't in your home, maybe it was at school, or even just in bringing through something that was very isolating from a past life. But you were processing that of feeling very frozen, very isolated, but also curious about what, like this intuition, like you kind of knew you had this power, but you also knew you had to be kind of very careful about what you said about it. So there's an awareness of power. You had an awareness of power, but like also the sense that it was a risky thing. So, okay, let's see what you were alchemizing in the early stages of your, in your origin story. So in those early years. Moderation. So protecting your energy, discontent, loss. I think that you were probably in a fairly immoderate sort of circumstances, like, things that were more dramatic and more frightening or whatever than they needed to be, or more over the top than they needed to be. I think you withdrew from all the kind of things that could have been let out by being moderate, by not opening the box too much, by just keeping this very private. And impulse, yeah. You may well have realized from a past life or something like that on a soul level that when you act impulsively, when you don't think through and protect your energy, when you don't stay private, that's when then you become a target. Because this almost looks to me like pins in a voodoo doll, though it's not actually a voodoo doll. But I feel like there's a sort of a sense here of your power, your energy made you a little bit of something that was hunted before in, I'd say, past lives, and would have potentially done it in this life if people realised. But I think you knew how to hide it, which I think is good, given that. So let's have a look at some more celestial energy. So let's see the Astro Kabbalah deck. What did you come in with on that level? Yod, hand and seed. Now, Yod in astrology is destiny. So you came in with some sort of destiny. But as a Hebrew power letter, it's about Virgo. It's about integration. It's about what you find beautiful in life and what gives kindness. And the tarot card is the Hermit. So again, it's a very spiritual thing. It's a very private thing. Visionary guidance it talks about. The quote by Marcus Aurelius says, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." So yeah, you knew to withdraw and go within. So you just knew to do that, which is good because I think you needed to. And we also have another Hebrew power letter, Cheth, fence, 18th path working of Cancer. This tells me this was in the family. Gevra, you needed the self-discipline, and Binah, the sort of sense of like understanding of the environment. You had that very early in the piece. The tarot card Chariot, you were going to be better once you could move off and be on your own and do what you needed to do, but you had to kind of be careful until you were ready to do that. But yeah, motion, like you had a wish to move, and that some of the impulse, you had to kind of like moderate that until you were old enough to do it. But I also think fence there is you creating the protective barrier until it was time, until you could actually do something. So let's see what Archangel energy was watching over you in your origin story, pile 2. Cassiel. So that's all about sort of like kindness, nurturing, that kind of energy for you. There was a kind archangel energy for you while this was going on. Getting back to nature, your own nature. And Galgaliel, which is about moving forward. Like this is very much showing your origin story was you came in with a lot more power, knowledge and awareness than the environment that you were in. I think also with the understanding from past lives about what happens when that power is seen and chased. You knew that you would use it eventually in your life, but you would have to wait until you could move on and be on your own. But anything that you suffered about this was actually only making you more powerful. So you knew that. And you knew, and you started to learn you could create more and more of what you wanted. But there was a real side of you that just wanted to move and do it. You probably wanted to get out and do it when you were really young, but you just knew you had to kind of wait. So let's get a sigil energy of protection that was around you in your origin story. Archangel Zavkiel, so another archangel. Archangel of Binah. So Binah is very strong with you. So that is your level of understanding, but it is also understanding that comes through sorrow and empathy, and you really had that. So I think that understanding what understanding means, but important decisions, clarity of communication. So I think clarity of communication here was only speaking when you needed to speak, to be honest, I think, and knowing who to speak to that you could trust. That was and Zavkiel was probably protecting you to give you the understanding to know that. Okay, so let's see with tarot, just a kind of a integration of the energy around your origin story. And then we're going to lay out this whole spread again for where you are now. So 10 of Swords, yeah, look at that. You came in like either with a really heavy reincarnation thing, or it was a very dramatic, scary environment with unfinished business, with a great deal of compassion. You had a great deal of compassion and a great deal of sort of psychic and spiritual knowing. But you knew that you had to be on your own. So that's just kind of really summing up what we've just been talking about. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lay out again using the same set of cards, but this time looking at where you are now. Because I think this is really important for you, because I think that you needed to get away from childhood, home and school and all the things that kind of form us in the early years to come into your true power. So where are you now relative to that? Not as expected. So something is not what you would have expected at this point. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it could be just something surprising. Burdens of responsibility. Okay, like what you found is you have more burdens or responsibility than you would have expected. Affected by the external. So yeah, external factors are important. Mental struggle. Okay, right now you've hit a bit of a challenge by the looks of things. That doesn't mean that you're off your life path. It just means that you probably thought once you get free of this and you move forward that's when it's going to be fine. But I think that hasn't been the case. In a weird way, the power and the energy you have has put a lot of burdens on you. But like you are very powerful at manifesting, but like there are other manifesting forces in the world. And so it's sort of like it's a little bit surprising to see how much, like it's almost surprising to see how much the external world still doesn't understand your kind of ability or power or whatever. And so you're trying to like work out, what do I do? What do I do now? So I think it was almost like when I get out and I do what I want, I've learned I can manifest. I know that I understand what's going on. It's going to be fine. But instead of that, it's like you've been ramped up to another level of challenge. So, and look, that's what the soul wants to do, to develop. But it's kind of like you're adjusting to that right now. It doesn't mean you're in a bad place. It just means that it's not quite what you expected to be at this stage in your life. So let's see what your soul is saying. Change, the orange moon cat. Okay, something's about to change and shift, or there have been some changes very recently that was surprising and that you're now having to adjust to that. So you'll know which it is because this is a collective reading. For some of you, you're waiting for the change and it's coming, and it'll be when it's least expected. But otherwise, I think a change has come that you didn't expect, and you're kind of processing what that energy is at the moment. So let's see what the dream energy is for you in your current position, given that. What's happening in the liminal? Video game. Okay. You do have a sense, like I think because you have this intuitive ability and the kind of manifestation power, I mean, it's almost like we're in a simulation or something. And it's like, oh, I expected it to be this way, and then suddenly it wasn't because the simulation or the timeline has shifted or something like that. But it's important to understand that you have all the skills that's necessary to play this game. You're a problem solver. You can deal with this. And if there's a challenge, it's to increase your ability. And falling. Okay, so you're worried, but at the moment you're worried. Like, am I up to this or not? Like something external's come along that's kind of rocked you a bit. It was unexpected, but you are able to do it. Just, I think, see it as a game and a problem solving. Move out of mental struggle and move into problem solving phase, and that will really help you. What kind of programming is triggering you at the moment? Okay, that's Don Quixote. And that's Sleeping Beauty. All right, an external. Okay. So what's going on for you at the moment is you're having a moment of doubt, pole 2. Now, I can say, probably till I'm blue in the face, that you came in with fairly extraordinary psychic and sort of magical abilities. And you are meant to do something with that. But it's almost because of that you've had persecution before, you wouldn't have been understood when you were young, and you're going to have lots of responsibilities, and like the world's going to throw things at you because you're strong enough to do it. But you're starting to wonder, am I even like heading in the right direction? Am I right? Can I manifest? Like what's happening? Why is the external world not doing what I expect? Why am I carrying so much at this point? Why do I feel so mentally fatigued? I believe in what I'm doing, but is it a delusion? Do I have to wait for something external to come and wake me up and really make this happen? Can I do this on my own? So I think you're in a moment of self-doubt. I think you'll come through this because you've got a lot of ability, but right now you're starting to doubt yourself. So that's just the energy. This is the moment. It was the message you were meant to hear so that you knew in a sense that this is transitory. So let's have a look at what the celestial realms want to say. What about the Kabbalah? What can the Kabbalah and astrology and that sort of thing help you with at this point? Chokmah. Okay. So Chokmah is the second sphere, the second Sephiroth in the Kabbalah. It is the home of magicians. So as I was saying, you have this ability, Uranian energy, so you will get a lightning bolt. You will have something that breaks you through this, but it's quite detached. It's almost an alien feeling sometimes, and you may feel alien for this reason. Wheels within wheels, like what is this all about? It's like, and it almost looks like this person's got wheels turning round and round and round them by the looks of things. So I think this is like the wisdom is to get to the purest first principle. the clearest thing to do when everything is stacking up on you is going back to what is the first principle? What is it? What is almost the philosophy of what I want to achieve? And up there then, because you have that manifestation ability, you can reset the game. I think that's what that's saying. And then energy of Libra. So this is all about connection with others. So you've got to do this before you can connect with others. Libra is all about being social and so forth. So you can't just, when you were young, you had to go within, but you are meant to be around people and you're meant to be social. So there is not an escape clause that allows you to be separate. But having said that, if you go back to first principles and you understand the game, you can move past the struggles. But you are at a point of struggle at the moment where you might just want to pull back, but that's not what you're meant to do. You're meant to go back to first principles and connect with people on that very simple, what do we have in common? What do we believe? What do we both believe? Okay, let's see the archangel energy around you right now then, pile 2. Azariel, I mean, she wants you to kind of get to the depths of your emotion to find the treasure. So there is an emotional thing. See, this is the thing. Like Hokmah is a little bit detached from emotion. That's why you have Binah so strongly. If you can connect the first principle with your understanding, that's where you're going to get the best outcome. So I think Azariel is trying to help you with that. And Hanael, which is trying to sort of like bring kindness and mercy and sort of warmth. So it's trying to warm you up, I think, because Hokmah could be a little bit chilly. So I think there's a sort of an energy of don't withdraw too much. Only go to that point to reset so that you can reconnect with others. Okay, let's get you a sigil to support you right now. Pile 2. Invisibility, freedom from detection. Okay, so if you are worried about... Okay, that's kind of glamour magic. So if you're looking at magic sort of stuff here, it may be that you are in a more complex situation now. You've got a lot of burdens or whatever, and there's a lot of external forces, and you are going to need to communicate with people. But maybe Hokmah, the first principle, maybe this is to be when you need to be invisible, to be able to watch, to be able to consider, to be able to strategize. That energy is there to protect you to be able to do it. So when you would be under threat, or where you really do need to sort of like separate out, that sigil will help you with that. It will help you to almost be in a room but not be seen, so you can observe what is going on. Okay, so just to finish off, we're just going to get 4 tarot cards to bring it all together for where you're at the moment. Pile 2. Justice. Okay, so the right thing is going to happen, and you are on the side of right, star, and you are on your path. So don't doubt that. I think you're going through a bit of self-doubt. 5 of Swords, do not give up. Knight of Cups, because you're following the Holy Grail. So whatever it is that you want, this would also suggest that you're meant, if you haven't already, you're meant to sort of find somebody to love and somebody who can appreciate who you are and all that kind of thing. But if you are doubting yourself, please don't. Please don't. You have a lot of ability, and it's almost like the difficulties are being stacked up because of that ability. But there is also support for you. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Vitality Boost. So this is the first of 4 cards we're going to look at from the Personal Predictions deck to see the energy that was around you, the fortune energy that you came into your origin story, your early part of your life, your childhood, your adolescence, early sort of later teenage years, the kind of formative period is what we're talking about here, and what that meant about your life path and where you were at. So Vitality Boost is positive. You came in with a lot of energy. You're probably a very energetic, rambunctious child, which is lovely, and probably brought a lot of energy to others. But let's see what else you came in with, or what energy was around you and you experienced at that time. So we have success, celebrate. Wow, you probably came into a successful family, or you were very successful at school, very good. Like there was a lot around you that was very positive. Goes in your favor. Wow, yeah. Making progress. Okay. So your origin story, like you either, I would say, could be either or a combination of the concept you either were born into good money, like people who were successful, and you were kind of like another vitality to take that lineage forward, so that things generally went in your favor, you were successful, you made progress, all of that kind of thing. I'd say you were very precocious at school. I'd say you were a lot of energy, a lot of intellect, did really, really well, very lucky. And you like kind of had a very strong forward momentum. Like there's quite a strong Aries energy to this, and you don't have to be Aries, but it's like kind of first in class. Aries or Leo, there's quite a lot of fire energy anyway, but you did do a lot. Like I feel like you were probably very good at, if you weren't good at school, you were good at other things. You were good at sport. You were like whatever you were interested in, you were successful with, you did well. And you brought a lot in to make that happen. So like your origin story is one of being able to achieve things. So it'll be very interesting to see where you're up to now, because sometimes when you come in with that, there's sort of like an adjustment you then have to go through to work out, well, if you're really good at lots of things, what do you actually do? That can, this would be the pattern of a multi-talented person, which is wonderful in many ways, but is also sometimes its own challenge. So that's good. That's a kind of really positive energy around this. And even if weren't born into wealth, you almost had that sort of sense of I can be successful, I can make things happen. So let's see the soul energy you brought in your origin story. Rise up, the phoenix. Like you're here to rise, to be successful, to be seen, to be celebrated. Like now that could be that you developed a lot of things patiently and painstakingly in other lives, and now it's your time to do it. It could be that you were cut short from doing something before, and so your origin story and your energy for your life path is now to kind of do that and rise up and be really successful. You could even be, sometimes they say things skip a generation, so you could even be someone who's been brought in to kind of raise the fortunes of your family and your ancestors and all that kind of thing. But wow, like that's a really powerful, fiery kind of energy. Let's see what kind of dream energy, liminal space energy was in your origin story. Car, autonomy, drive, life path, desire, sense of control. Like you just came in knowing you were all over this, basically. As I say, not all of you are going to have been born into wealth or whatever, but like, gee, you knew you were going to be successful. You knew that you could make things happen. You knew that you could rise up. You knew that like you would make progress. You were here to move. Like it's a really strong energy of I'm here to achieve things. And betrayal. Now that's interesting. Maybe the rising up, maybe you were betrayed in a past life. Or maybe you came in to sort out a betrayal that happened to a parent or to someone that you care about. Like there's an interesting energy, because I was thinking like, it's really interesting. Why? Like rising, definitely, but it feels like against some adversity, but there's not like in the early years a sense of the adversity. So whether or not you came in straight with that from a past life, or whether you came into a situation where, as I say, you were the champion for your family or for someone that you cared about who was betrayed and you turned it all around. Like you're a force of nature. I wouldn't want to be against you. Not that I feel that you've got any sort of like dark energy or anything. I just think like, wow. So let's see what kind of programming you were dealing with at this stage of your life in your origin story. Okay, Dante's Inferno. Now that's interesting. Okay. And again, with rising up. And the genie in a bottle. Okay, that's very interesting. So I do think either from a past life or it may be in the early stages of your life, your family or the situation was actually not good. But you were like this sort of rocket of energy and positivity that was brought in to turn it around. Because Dante's Inferno, the real clear thing there is you go into the shadow and come through that to rise up and away from it. So you kind of understood to go to the core of whatever this was. Success is the best revenge almost, is kind of the energy of it. And with the genie in the bottle with Aladdin's lamp, there was like you were able to get things to go in your favor. You were able to make wishes, but you made the right wishes. Like I think this is the thing, because you understood, you came in with a mission. And I suspect like it played out in some way, whether it's in the schoolyard, in your family, like, I don't know, it played out in some way for you to kind of like hone those abilities, probably so that you could use it then in later life as well. But it's very powerful. So given that, what did you come in to alchemize? Like, what was your origin story? What were you alchemizing? Eclipse. Okay, now that's interesting. I just sort of, and then see like the vitality boost and the sun is out there. I feel as though someone was betrayed, someone was eclipsed, and you, I mean, maybe even you were when you were young, maybe you were very precocious, but sort of like you didn't get something you should have got, but you rose above it, you worked out how to deal with it, you went through it. Or someone in your family or something like that was eclipsed, and you were coming in to sort of move the energy with love, away. And then what else were you alchemizing? Infinite. This is karmic. It's definitely karmic. This is like, I think you're very connected to your family or your culture or something like that. You brought something in. You brought something in. Something had to be resolved. Something had to be processed. You're the one to do it. Like, whoa. As I say, I wouldn't want to be debating with you. You're a force of nature. Okay. So given that, let's have a look at some celestial energy. Let's have a look at, in your origin story, what was going on around the sort of Kabbalah or the astrology or something in that sort of ilk. We have, wow, the sun, live, heart, light, life, character, warmth, pride, lived, or does a lust for life dwell within? Boy, does it for you. You are like the sun. You are like a solar energy. You're like the Sun King, that kind of energy. And we have Hebrew power letter Nun, fish, Scorpio. So yeah, you also can go to the depths and understand what's really going on. Nesak, which is victory and beauty, like the success is its own revenge. And transformation, transforming something, rising up. The phoenix in alchemy is after the major transformation. Marcus Aurelius says, it is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. Death smiles at us all, and all a man can do is smile back. Like, you know how to live. You know how to act. Memento mori, yeah, you brought in something karmic. And the family you were born into, I think, and the people you were around, it was karmic. But boy, you were bringing back the dynasty, baby. Like, wow. I haven't seen energy like this in a long time. That's really powerful. Okay, let's see what archangel energy was around you. Metatron, yeah. Keta, write your own narrative. You came in knowing. And Zuriel, that's the Sufis. That's being able to kind of like be flexible and dance and flow and be graceful and like connect to the divine. So yeah, very strongly connected to the sort of like more spiritual realms. So let's see what kind of sigil protection energy was around you in your origin story. So I just might move that there. Archangel Virtual, the Archangel of Leo, yeah, like there's some fire sign energy. You don't have to be a fire sign sun. It could well be, something else in your chart, but there's definitely fiery energy around you. Physical and spiritual life on all spheres of existence. It's like you were bringing in the spiritual sun, bringing in the spiritual energy of Leo. So it's like you're meant to succeed, like you kind of naturally align with the universe, which is great. Let's see with tarot, just 4 cards to bring all that together in terms of your origin story. 2 of Swords reversed, 8 of Cups reversed, Knight of Swords, Emperor reversed. Okay, there's some sort of family honor, cultural honor, or something like that you came in with, or you were meant to be a Sun King, meant to be a ruler, and it was taken from you and you've come back to get it back. But like there was no choice about this. You have to come in and do this, and you can't let go of it. Like this is like really important to bring things back into balance. You'll move very swiftly towards it, but it's about it's about the new Sun King taking over from the old Sun King kind of energy. It's like Zeus with Kronos or something. But like whatever that means playing out in your life. Okay, so let's see where you are now, because that's a hell of a lot of energy to come in with and a hell of a lot of ambition. So, you may or may not be well along the line. You might be dealing with some challenges at the moment. Let's see what we get. So we're going to just put down the same cards, the same decks again, and we're just going to look at where you are now. So we have friendship and company. So you have some good friends around you. Luck is still on your side. You are meant to succeed. Patience and delays, but it's not going quite as quickly as you would like. Reconnect, relive past. Yeah, like I think understanding this is actually really key. You may not have sort of realized the past life, but I think kind of like focusing in on what might have been a past life or what happened in the past, reconnecting with people from your past will be helpful, because you are meant to succeed, and you've got some really good people around you. You've drawn some really good people and allies around you, but things are taking longer than you want at the moment. And like, if you were this incredibly precocious child, which I think you were, that would feel that way. Like, why is the earth so slow? So I feel like, but reconnecting back to people in the past, there's some connections you made in the past that are useful, or understanding what is it you're rising up from, what happened in the past. That will all help you work through what this is. So where is the soul energy at the moment for you? Focus. Okay. Yeah, you need to focus on certain things. Find where the delay points are. You're very clever. You're more than able to deal with this, but it's like things are taking longer than you would have expected them to. Okay, so let's see the dream imagery that's around you at the moment. So the liminal space energy around you. Boots, hardworking, down to earth, grounded, ready. So this is the sense of like you've got to get moving. You want to get moving. And also what's very individual about you. But you are grounded. That's important. And that will help you be patient. And crying. Okay, so there's something that you need to let go. Like, I think you're frustrated. And there may be something also that you need to almost grieve from the past as you've been between your sort of origin story and where you are now. Maybe, you've had some challenges. We all have challenges. So maybe letting some of that go. And like, we had the sort of sense before of like the car, and now we've got the boots. I think this is like things are slowing down a bit now. You're incredibly quick and able to develop when you were young. Slowing down a bit now, but you're still heading in the right direction. But there might be some stuff to kind of let go of from the past so that doesn't weigh you down. Because as I say, no matter how clever you are, everybody's going to have some challenges. Let's see what you're alchemizing now. Confidence. So you are confident, but what confidence means and what you're aiming for might be shifting, because if you're feeling frustrated about the timing. And shadow luck. Okay, where you think sometimes luck might be on your side, but it might actually have a kind of a double-edged sword to it. So let's see with the dice. The dice tells us what you're meant to do, because this is right now with alchemizing with this energy. So what are you meant to do around confidence? You're meant to drink that in. When you see the single bottle, be confident. Know that you're up to all of this. And around shadow luck, okay, drink that in as well too and understand it. So it is confirming that some of the luck that you have could have a double-edged sword. If you go back and work out where there's been blocks before, you're going to be able to work your way through it and strategize to get through it. Okay, so let's then have a look at the Astro Kabbalah deck. Like, what is the celestial realms wanting to say to you right now? Firstly, we have Lantern of Creativity, Leo. Yeah, you're the Sun King. I keep saying it. That's the sort of energy, your creativity, your will. You're meant to be a leader. You're meant to shine. And we have the Hebrew power letter, Hey, window. 15th path working of Aries. So Aries, as I said, Aries, Leo, the sort of like really the kind of the action-oriented person. Connecting Tippereth, which is about beauty, with Hokmah, which is about wisdom. The Emperor, the leader, yeah, like the This was about you becoming the new leader. This is what you are, on the right direction. It is your kingdom. Only you know the solution. So that's the thing to know. And the power of the life force, you're like a, here in Australia, we talk about ever-ready batteries. I don't know whether overseas have those as well too, but this is a concept of keeping on and keeping on, that kind of energy. Okay, so let's also see what archangels are around you at the moment, pile 3. Melchizedek. Gee, you've got some big heavy hitters here. The grandfather of the archangels. Really powerful sort of energy, bringing in the new eons, the new sort of knowledge and so forth. And, oh, gee, you are. Who are you? Wow. This is the cherubim, but it's the cherubim as they actually are, like big, strong, powerful, golden energy, not like little babies. But I think it's kind of like, this is what you've gone into. If you think of like the origin story, bringing in all that incredible power, the cherubim are very powerful. And now in the grown form, like, wow. And I feel like, actually, there's the grandfather, there's the father, which is the emperor, and then there's you coming up to take over your role in that. So I think it's all playing out, kind of the archangel energy fits in with this. You don't have to be a male, by the way, for this. It's just the general energy that we're talking about. Okay, so let's also see what sort of sigil can protect you at the moment. Sigil energy to protect you. Not that I think you need a lot of protection. You're a force of nature, as I say, but nevertheless, wow, banishing fear, eliminating fear while summoning courage. So anything that like is making you feel stuck or making you wonder about your confidence, this is to get rid of that. Like, don't even think about it. You are a powerhouse. You don't have anything really to be fearful of. Okay, so to finish off, let's just bring it all together for an integrated concept of where you're at with your life path with tarot. Pile 3. 3 of Wands, yeah, you're heading off in the right direction. Page of Wands, and you've already worked out what you want and where you want to go. 5 of Swords, you're not going to give up. And Knight of Cups, you're going to actually get the Holy Grail. You're going to find the love and the connection and what you want. And you're going to bring heart back, which is really important. So you're not sort of arrogant and narcissistic and sort of up yourself. You're really just a force of nature, and you're here for a reason. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. But beyond that, I hope that I see you in future readings.